Hello and welcome to the Strong Friend Podcast with Jack and Lewis. Now today we purely waffle. I'll be honest, we're waffling about social media. We sound like two grumpy old men talking about how the world has changed and how we don't like it. So if you want to hear about some strategies we use to overcome our difficulties with social media and overcome how it affected us mentally, give it a listen because you might find some useful tips and tricks. So let's get into the podcast.
Mate, can you remember when we went that place, what's it called, Destino?
Yeah, mate, yeah.
And that was crazy. It was
I feel like if you had a bit more money,
yeah.
You know what I mean? I think the problem with Ibiza is you've got to be loaded now.
Yeah. Well, mate, I can remember that day that we went. I'd just been paid, like, that day. So even though I had my euros, every time we went... When we were at Destino, every time we went to the bar...
Yeah, you're using card.
Yeah, because it was like... because I was pissed. Mate, because we fucking drank a lot before then as well.
Yeah, we did.
Like, we drank
almost had a whole bottle of Absolute, didn't we?
Yeah, a whole bottle of Absolute vodka. We were smashed buying cigarettes. And then we were drinking like Grey Goose and lemonade in Destino, but I was chucking it on the card.
Well, you were. I wasn't.
Yeah, you were drinking beer, which eating itself was still like €13.
Yeah.
But I had this vodka. And I kept putting it on my card, and I checked my card like a couple of days later, and it was like international fee. I'm like, I ended up paying like €20 a drink. Basically, it was shit. Mate, what a great time we had though. And
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I want to do that again.
Yeah.
Like,
and we can.
Yeah, I can't wait, man.
Well, yeah, man. It's just been, mate. I was just gonna say to you, like, my week's been mixed. Like, some of it's been amazing, and some of it's been absolutely shit. Like, you know what I mean? But I've got like a good habit now of if I have a shit day, I don't let it go into the next day. Like, I'll literally wake up with a fresh head, and I'm like, right, okay, it's a brand new day. Forget about anything. Do you know what I mean? That's in the past now. Let's focus on the future, not letting it just run and spiral out of control. So I'm quickly able now to sort of just, if I've had a shit day, I'll accept it and just move on. Yeah. What about you? How's your week been?
Well, I think it was this morning. I can't even describe how big of a wave it was. I had a massive wave of just gratitude, of just like, I'm so thankful of like everything in my life right now.
Yeah.
Like, just everything. Like, it was like an overwhelming sense of, oh my God, thank you for like that. I've got the friends I've got, the job I've got, you know what I mean? I just had this overwhelming, massive thing, and it was just like, it was an amazing feeling, obviously, but it was proper. I don't know where it came from, but it was just such a big emotion.
It could have come from like mindfulness, because when you do mindfulness, it teaches you gratitude, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, like, when you're doing mindfulness, I was like, bloody hell, this is the first time I've been grateful for years. And that's the kind of experiences where you end up bursting into tears of happiness, because you're like...
But that's where I was this morning.
Yeah.
Just this morning. I was pretty much doing that.
Yeah, because you realise you've got so much to be thankful for. And when you turn on the news, you wouldn't think it, would you? But the reality is, like, we're fine. You know what I mean? As we are right now. Yeah. And all the sometimes like when we're on about Ibiza, just like I'll wake up some mornings and I'll just be like, I can't believe I've had that many good experiences in my life that they've actually happened. And the good thing about memories is that you can relive the emotion that you felt. Yeah. Well, like the songs that were on at the time, and everyone's got like holiday songs, haven't they? And yeah, man, it's just nuts.
I can't wait to go on more holidays, man. I really can't. I really can't wait for it.
I think we need to, and we were going to go on one this year.
We will.
Well, we were going to, obviously, we were meant, all the lads were meant to go to Portugal this year, which would have been amazing. But I feel like it might have been a blessing in disguise, because now I've got time to actually like get in real good shape, you know what I mean? In this time, man, I'm going to make sure, going to get shredded. Obviously, I'm doing the program with this guy, and like, obviously, following the macros every day and tracking it, and it's coming together, man.
I was going to say, where did you start and where are you up to now?
I started off at like £276, which to be fair is quite a lot. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Whereas now, I've taken it steady. It's been like, this has been over the course of 10 weeks. I'm like, what, 255, I think. So I think that I'll probably be lean at like maybe I'll start really seeing the leanness at like 220. Do you know what I mean? And then when I start getting into 210, that's when I'll be like, right, okay, this is shredded status now. You know what I mean? This is Mount Olympus status for you.
Start walking around like Arnold.
Yeah, but I just, like I say...
What's 215 kilos? I'm
not too sure, to be fair.
14? 150?
Yeah, it's definitely not below 110, man. Definitely not below 110. No. I think when I was lean before, I was like 100 kilos, so it's like you say, another 15 kilos to go. And the good thing with me is...
30 pounds? Yeah, another 30 pounds, that's what you're saying.
Another 30 pounds, and I only really hold weight like around my stomach and lower back. It's not like...
The best places.
But the thing is, it's not too bad because when I wear a top, like my arms, not lean by any stretch of the imagination, but... Like, they're not, like, ridiculously, like, big either.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not too bad. But when I start leaning out, I notice, like, I get, like, veins in my forearms popping out more. And, mate, when you start seeing veins, that's when you get excited. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's a great feeling.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, man.
Yeah, man.
So, this week's topic, let's jump into it. This week's topic is a lot more uplifting than last week's.
Yeah. I hope people enjoyed it, by the way, because Jack's story. I wanted to say that on the intro, but Jack's story last week was just like heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time. And the fact that he's here now in such a positive mindset, and he's just explaining he's having these waves of gratitude. It just shows that you can really like change your mindset if you want to.
Change your life, yeah.
Change your whole life, yeah. That's exactly what you've done.
Yeah,
we both have, haven't we? But to come from that, mate, a near-death experience.
I know, man.
It's a beautiful thing, man. You know what I mean? To be alive.
And that's why I get these big waves of gratitude. So, this week's topic is social media, and obviously the effect that it had on us as we were younger, as we were growing up with it, and what we think of it now. So, when was the first time that you got social media? What was the first platform that you used?
First platform was Bebo. So
yeah,
it was the times where you could give love to your mates, and you know, like you could only send like one love a day. And then so you'd like pick out a girl from the class, and then you'd send it, and it's like, oh no, I'll give you mine tomorrow to another girl, and all the rest of it. And Bebo was I think Bebo was pretty good, to be fair, man. Like it wasn't too intrusive, and I feel like we were all just having a laugh. Like it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
this is one thing that I've learned. So since going back on old Facebook, real old, and I'm talking like 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
You start to realize what we were actually posting when we look back on it, and we think, oh, we were just having a laugh. But when we actually look back at some of the things we were posting, it's actually not what we think.
It's not, is it?
No, because back in the day of Bebo, you would post anything that you thought about, and anything that you thought about was like a 13, 14, 15-year-old. Yeah. Could you imagine that now today with like the thoughts that they have? You could literally post anything you wanted. I think nowadays people are a bit more aware that social media is permanent. Like that stuff. I could go back and that stuff is still there. It didn't...
And that's how, like, you see, like, these Love Island stars that get thrown off because some like, investigators looked like 8 years down and they posted something that was racial or something like that. And then they get caught up on it. But one thing I'll say, though, is even though people are a lot more aware, I think Twitter's a bad place, man. I hate it. It's horrible for people and bullying and... just horrible. Like, at least with Facebook, it's not as bad as Twitter because the majority of people on Facebook are maybe people that like live near you or know you a little bit personally. But on that note, though, I will say one of the massive things that I hate about, well, this is going back a number of years now. I remember when Facebook first come out. You could ask a question anonymously to people. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And we've spoken about people that have, you know what I mean, had real bad experiences with suicide, and I remember like someone posting something to someone and it was horrible, and it's disgusting because it's anonymous, and you'd never say anything like that to someone in person. It's just keyboard warriors, man.
Well, that was the thing. So obviously your first experience was Bebo, and like you say, people were just having fun, but for me it was the complete opposite. And you'd have people posting on your wall things that you couldn't take down. So this was before the days of like deleting comments and you know what I mean. You couldn't delete other people's comments. You couldn't. It wasn't as controllable back then. It was more, I'm going to post this on your wall and then everyone can see it. And because it was such a wave, I feel like everyone was just, this was the new thing. This was the new popularity contest. This was the new, if you're not on it, why aren't you on it?
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? It was almost like if you weren't on it, like it's a bit weird, you know what I mean?
Because we, I remember on Bieber you could have your own anthem, couldn't you?
yeah. I love
that. Most people had like N-dubs and like fucking all sorts of trash on there.
Well, mate, I had my Bebo. I even had a separate Bebo with our personal trainer.
So that's another thing. You could create as many profiles as you want, and not just that, you could create profiles for other people. And there was an experience of someone in our year who had a profile created for them that, looking back on it, it must have been quite tough for them. Although they never said it, with some of the things that were put on that social media page, it's very easy for us to laugh at it now and think it was very juvenile and think, oh, it was just a joke. Actually, when I sometimes reflect about that post and think, oh, that page was actually, they must have felt shit when that was out, because I know I felt shit when people used to post, like, really, it was bullying on my wall, like cyberbullying, and the amount of regret that I genuinely feel, even though I didn't actually do anything, I still feel regret that I never.
What was
never
some of
stood
the?
up for it.
Like, can you remember? Well, I'm assuming you can remember what they were saying, but do you?
So I remember what was on my wall. I also so the what was on the wall of the person, because I don't want to speak too much about what it was.
That's fine.
But it was, I wouldn't say it was directed. That's the word. It wasn't necessarily directed at that person. It was more of an overarching, I'm going to make fun of you. But not in any specific way, just in a general way that you would have made fun of anyone. Whereas the stuff that was on my wall was very targeted. So the kind of things that were said were very targeted to me. And there was like
some bad stuff, like, you know what I mean? I can imagine it sounds like some deep stuff, like, you know what I mean?
It was, and the reason it was
just
so
by your
deep
reaction.
Because, so obviously I've explained, I'd finished school. It was said there was about three topics. They were mentioned at school. I'd go home. It had been mentioned, maybe one of those topics, and then I'd go online, and then three of them topics again were on in my head. So I've got 24 hours of just pure shit going into my head. And this was the time where you didn't feel like you could log out of social media. You didn't realise that you couldn't spend so long on there. You didn't realise that you couldn't, you know what I mean? So like the first thing you'd do is you'd go upstairs, you'd log on to MSN.
You would, wouldn't you?
But this is of an age where social development, and this is where you're trying to develop your relationships with people, and you've got 24 hours of it. You've got no respite. So if you make one mistake, that mistake is then amplified, because it's not just in school. You can't go home and forget about it, because you go home and then it's online.
Anyone could say anything, and like people could even on MSN like change the display names and they could put nice things, or they could put horrible things about people, or hack people.
I forgot about that, you know.
Yeah, you could like
hacking as well.
Yeah.
Mate, hacking on MSN used to be a massive thing.
Yeah, and it's like, if you hack on MSN, no one really knew if it was the actual person or not, did they? And I suppose it's negatively affecting them. And I feel like some of the stuff that you've mentioned that you were subject to regarding Bebo, is it possible that like that could have contributed towards your state of mind growing up?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Like we spoke before about like when I had hateful YouTube comments, and these things like stick in. They almost form like a part of your core beliefs, don't they? And you start thinking bad of yourself and, oh, like, if this person's saying it, then everyone must think it. And it's not a very nice thing to experience, man.
I had a comment, right? And this was a bit later, so
Yeah.
we're diverging a lot here.
Yeah, it's fine, yeah.
I had a comment on one of my photos that said Jelly Belly.
Right. That's
And
fucking
mate,
scum, man.
Yeah. Looking back on that, you think, oh my God, would you say that to someone now?
No.
Would you dare say that to someone now? But back in them days, mate, you just splurge crap.
Yeah.
And there was no control, first of all, because it was brand new. So no one knew anything about hacking. No one knew anything about private browsing.
Yeah.
No one knew anything about like hiding things on your profile. You couldn't hide things on your profile. If someone wanted to speak to you, they'd just post it on your page.
Yeah.
Like, in front of everyone.
Yeah, it is a strange culture when you break it down.
When you actually look back on it, there was zero privacy.
Yeah.
Absolute zero privacy. And this is of an age where we are very awkward and we're learning how we should interact with people.
Yeah.
And we're very much crossing different boundaries of... So...
Yeah, like actual real human interaction and the online interaction. We've got loads of practice in the online interaction, but in terms of like the human interaction, like if you've seen people, I've seen so many people that are really, really confident online, and then you speak to them in real life, and they're nothing like that. Like I'm not saying that to everyone, but it's very, very easy to portray yourself, or like on MSN, for example, you can say something, but you can think about it before you hit the send button. You can delete it and write something else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or not? Whereas if you're speaking, once you've said it, haven't you, really?
Yeah, so that was where... I think that's where you develop your ability to speak to the people who you fancy and the people who you want to... Like, the people who you've got a crush on. The way that you'd speak to them was never in person because that was awkward as fuck. The way that you'd speak to them was wait until you get home on MSN. Hey, I saw you today. Like, weird as fuck.
Yeah, I remember.
Like, that's so freaky.
Man, I used to like ask girls like what the top 5 was, hoping I'd be in it. And I remember once, like I asked a girl out, and she said no. And I was like, oh, sorry, my brother just hacked my account or something like that. Like, that wasn't me, or you've asked him out. And I was like, oh, I was only joking, do you know what I mean?
But that was...
And you were like going in school the next day like, oh, fucking hell.
But that's what's so funny to look back on now is we were almost the guinea pigs for it all.
Definitely.
Because we've learned on how we would have liked to have been controlled. And by controlled I mean we would have liked to have been monitored in a bit of a better way. Like we would have liked screen time, just someone saying, oh, you can only have this long on this app, or privacy settings where you can only let certain people see certain things. Just little things like that we never had. Mate, we really never had it.
We didn't, did we? Like that idea of censorship, and it was bizarre, like how addictive it was. That, like, I remember people, even myself, like we'd go on holiday, and the first thing you do is try and find a computer, and then and then you'd see,
and you'd pay for it.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to. It'd be an old Windows 94.
Yeah,
and you'd be paying like 30 cents a minute just to log online and just to check your Facebook.
Yeah, and everyone's like, oh, aren't you meant to be on holiday? What are you doing on here and all this? But it's because it's that idea that you're missing out on something. Do you know what I mean?
It's because of the 24-hour cycle of constant news. It's just... So that's where we get this, like, immediate need for information. That's why we feel... like it's why we always feel left out and the need to check your phone constantly, because we grew up where you didn't just leave the conversation at school. You didn't just leave the gossip at school. The gossip carried on. The gossip carried on into the night, and then it'd get further and further, and you didn't want to miss out, because let's say there was some gossip, a rumour started when you're in school, Monday morning.
Yeah.
Lewis fancies X, okay? Online later, that could develop into Lewis has asked X out.
Yeah.
And you don't know until the next day, so you need to be on social media and checking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where this need that we've got to always check and make sure we're always up to date. We're always in the know.
Yeah.
And I guess that it works both ways, doesn't it? It's positive and negative because we're very much informed positively because we know what's happening, but it also creates that need for it.
Yeah, like if you're on the negative end of that spectrum, then it's gonna be fucking hell, quite frankly, isn't it? Like, it really is. Like, when I look back at some of the stuff, there's some situations that shouldn't have happened, and I don't really feel like at that time. Obviously, I don't know what schools are like now, but I don't think the schools managed to deal with it that well either. Like, some people would get bullied, and then it would definitely like stroll into the classroom, and then back. Like, you could just see the impact it was having on like some people's mental health, and then people would start thinking that they were the weird one and all that. And it's not true, man. So I think there's an element of kids are very, very mean at times. Do you know what I mean? Because like you say...
You don't understand the impact of your actions.
Yeah. Like, kids will say a lot of things that, like, obviously adults wouldn't say, wouldn't they?
Well, one of the things, I'll say it like this. So someone, let's use me as an example, right? There was something that was posted on my wall.
Yeah.
Well, let's even use the Jelly Belly example, right? If I came into school, lifted my arms up, and then a bit of like, I didn't even have, just for full clarity, I didn't even have a belly. If I lifted my arms up and you could see the bottom of my stomach,
Yeah.
if someone shouted out in that class, Jelly Belly, Jelly Belly,
Yeah.
do you know how everyone would turn on that person and go, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, they would, yeah.
Whereas when it's online, it's fucking funny.
Yeah, like, and everyone's like coward about it as well, and I don't...
And no one would shout it out back then. No one would. Because you don't want to be the nerd who shouts out on social media.
Yeah. But that's the thing as well, like, I don't think, even though there's censorship and stuff, I can still see a lot of similarities between then and now. Especially with the people that were, say, our age. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you look at TikTok, for example, and if you go on a TikTok video and you read the comments, some people are absolutely horrendous. The only
difference is people won't do it under their own name anymore.
Yeah, I know.
We did it under our own name because we didn't realise.
Yeah. Mate, the first thing that I can remember, because people should be held accountable for what they say, man. They really should. The first thing I remember of someone being held accountable was when, I think, Tom Daley won a bronze medal. It was a bronze medal, wasn't it, in diving he won. And some idiots had posted on his Twitter like, "Oh, you didn't get gold. You failed your dad. I hope you know that." And obviously, his dad had only just passed away.
Yeah.
Which was a horrendous thing to say. And the guy ended up getting arrested. And that was the first instance where I thought, like, yeah, man, like, I'm so, like, and the guy was so apologetic after, like, oh, I didn't mean it. It's like, yeah, you only don't mean it now because you're getting called out on it, and you're getting all these hate messages and stuff, and I don't know, man.
Do you know what I think you almost need in schools now? You almost need one lesson a week of social interaction skills.
Yeah.
How to be a human being. How to look someone in the eye and speak to them. How
Massively.
to shake, you know what I mean? Just how to have a conversation and interpret what the other person means, because we're growing up, or we've got kids growing up in a generation who don't know how to react if someone starts crying in a conversation.
Yeah.
They'll just panic, and then...
Mate, people don't look you in the eyes anymore, and one thing I've noticed, and I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, because like you say, we were obsessed with Bieber and stuff, but I have noticed that there are so many young people that are obsessed with TikTok. Do you know what I mean? I'm talking
addicted.
Like 6 years old, 7 years old, 8, and then it just carries on and on and on and on. And it's like there's some amazing things that have come from TikTok, but I'm assuming that there's been like quite a few suicides over it as well. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, pros and cons all the time. Like, yeah, you've got these positive videos where people are saying like, oh, kindness is universal and all the rest of it. But then you've got the other spectrum, like I've seen, like, there's been live videos of suicides on there and all that kind of stuff. And can you imagine, like, seeing something like that as, like, a 15-year-old? Like, seeing that, like, randomly on your live feed, it could scar you for life. And the thing with, like, things like TikTok is when you're scrolling, the reason why you keep doing it is you get that dopamine that you don't know what the next video is going to be, so you want to find out. It goes back to what you were saying. You feel like you have to be clued in. You're not. Do you know what I mean? But I think that's a good point, though, man. Like that's that kind of thing.
One thing that you just raised that I think is a common thing that's brushed over is back in the 70s, you would have never, ever, you could have gone your entire life without seeing someone burned alive.
Yeah, I'm not laughing at someone getting burnt alive.
No, I know.
Yeah.
You could go your entire life without seeing a granny fall down the stairs.
Yeah.
We don't.
I'm not laughing at that, man. I'm just laughing at the fucking situation that, like, I know I've showed you videos and you really, like, I've showed Jack videos before, and like I thought it was funny, and he was like, I look over and Jack's like, turn it off. That's what I'm laughing at, to clarify. You know what I'm talking about, man, don't you? I was like, I thought you were going to find it funny, but you really didn't.
Lou put this video on, and I was just watching it, and I was like, this is not funny at all.
I mean, it was actually quite barbaric, wasn't it? Like, and I was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that, really. But yeah, man, that was nuts. But yeah, please.
But what I'm trying to say,
yeah, carry on, man.
What I'm trying to say is, we're exposed to this kind of shit, and it turns us into these. We'll say shit now that's so horrific.
Yeah.
Like I hope you get burnt alive, and it doesn't mean like to us, because we've been brought up with this gory graphic culture where we can see anything at any time. It numbs us.
Massively.
It numbs us to. And we end up just saying things that are so inflammatory.
Yeah.
That
you even forget that person in the video is like an actual person.
An actual person.
Yeah.
Yeah. It dehumanises you.
And that's what I was going to say, and all is like, I've seen, like, I bet everyone listening to this, you and me included, have all been in some states when we've been drunk. But now, with like the social media and the mobile phone and the camera, it takes away like privacy. Like, how many videos do you see like on Lab Bible of like people being smashed or like off the faces at a festival or something like that? And you imagine a post like that going viral. Yeah, it's funny, but for the actual person, like, it's going to be horrendous that they might lose the job. Like, you imagine the worst drunken state that you've ever been in, and you just imagine someone recorded
Kill
that.
University.
And yeah, but you just imagine though that someone's recorded it and the video's gone viral. You'd be fucking mortified, man.
Oh,
so
mate.
again, it's sort of like we pick and choose what we laugh at, but when it comes to ourselves, like, we don't want anyone to laugh. Do you know what I mean, or not?
Well, that's why I've started. Cause I think
there's no privacy, man. That's what I hate.
Yeah, when you go out now, you've got to not take your phone.
Yeah.
Or just get one person in the group to take the phone or something like that. Or if you do take your phone, just don't get it out. Put some form of lock on your camera, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So give yourself that bit of I can just enjoy myself and relax and not worry about getting recorded.
Yeah.
If you're in a the amount of Instagram stories you see, mate, where you look at them, you're just scrolling at night and you see someone, everyone will have done this, you will have seen someone's Instagram story and you will have said to yourself in your own head, they're going to regret that in the morning.
And then you look in the morning
and you look in the morning, it's not there.
Yeah. It's just nuts how why do we feel the need to do that? Like, why do we get drunk and we're like, I don't, like, obviously, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not miserable or anything like that. Like,
No. You can have a picture.
Yeah, like, I love a picture or a video, but it's when, like, it goes back to
it's when it's on what's
it's when it's like it's when it's over the top. Like, I think, I don't know if I've told the story on the podcast before, but when me and you were in Ibiza and there was a group of girls in front of us, and these girls must have been about 18, and bear in mind there's like 10 of them, and like none of them are talking to each other. They're all just like all you can just see them all looking down on the phone, and like to look at it was like looking out of a scene from Black Mirror. Like, it was weird. I didn't like it.
No one in that queue was speaking to each other.
Yeah, and it's like
no one in that entire queue was actually having a conversation.
It's like you've got like how many hours to just sit there on your phone. You're in like Ibiza. You could be anywhere in the world, and it's taking you out of the present moment. It's just, I don't, like I said, I don't mind using my phone, and I don't mind taking a video, but if it's gonna mess up with my actual human interaction, then I won't do it. Like, I feel like it's quite rude. Say if me and you went out on a night out, and I just sat there on my phone all night, you'd be a bit like, what the fuck, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it sort of shows that like they're not really.
It's hard to do, man.
Yeah, no, it is hard to do, and I understand. There's I think there's a line, isn't there? There's a fine line between taking the piss and just like going on it a little bit. And
we sound like some grumpy old men right now.
I know. Yeah, we do, man. I think we're digressing from social media, but I just.
Well, one of the things that I've started to do. Let's go from there. One of the things that I've started to do with social media. First of all, because I watched the documentary on Netflix about social media, and I can't remember what it's called.
Social Dilemma.
Social Dilemma. And since then, I've turned my notifications off on Instagram, on Twitter. I don't have Facebook anymore.
Yeah.
Or I do, but I've got like 3 friends, and I don't go on it. I've deleted like the app.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so all notifications are off. So the only time that I'll actually go on it is when I choose to go on it, first of all, not when that tells me to go on it.
Yeah.
The second thing I've done is I've added a screen time limiter on my phone. It's just in the settings of iPhone where you just go screen time and you say, I only want to spend an hour on Instagram a day. So I've set that.
Amazing.
Because I went through a period of going on Instagram for more than an hour a day, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
I've got something really important that I want to say about that you've just reminded me of, is we are teaching ourselves when we start just scrolling through Instagram that we don't have to sit with negative emotions. We can just scroll through them. Like, if you get a negative emotion, you pull out your phone, you can just sit on your phone until that negative emotion is just forgotten about. Whereas if you're doing what Jack does and actually make time for yourself, and you start thinking about your own thoughts, and you sit with your own thoughts and you sort of work them out and deal with them, then that's the right way to go about it. But just simply occupying your mind until that horrible thought goes away, I don't think it's a great way to deal with any sort of emotion. And I don't think it's a good way to teach yourself that, oh, if I'm feeling negative, I'll just go on my phone and it'll go away. Do you see what I mean or not?
The biggest difference that I can say, and everyone that listens to this podcast, just turn notifications off. Just turn it off. Obviously, you can leave your WhatsApp notifications on and your actual message notifications on, but your Instagram messages, they won't come up. So your Instagram notifications, turn them off. Your Twitter notifications, turn them off. And after a few weeks, you'd be surprised at how little you actually go on your Instagram without, like, because you're not told to. The whole point of the apps is they're trying to make you get on them as soon as possible. Like, for instance, Instagram will send you a message saying, oh, this person hasn't posted for a while. Do you want to see what they posted?
Yeah.
Or, hey, this person liked your photo.
Yeah.
Do you want to see?
Yeah. But I feel like anyone listening, they might feel like quite attacked by what we're saying. But the thing is, I want you to realise that that's just like the addictive nature of social media talking. Like, it wants us.
Yeah, they are dictating when you use it.
At the end of the day, you've got to understand this dopamine rush that they have on us. We are literally using our time. That's like the purpose of ads in social media. Like ads now, you watch a Facebook video, it's ads. You're giving your time, and that's how money. Yeah, that's how money's being generated. Basically, is you're using your time to watch.
You're selling your time.
Yeah, you're selling your time. Exactly. Yeah, and
there's a quote that says, "If you're not paying for the product, you are the product."
Yeah.
So your time is the product, like that.
Yeah.
Like your seconds of the day, that's the product. So I'd say everyone just, at least at the absolute minimum, at least dictate when you use social media. Don't let the apps and don't let the ad dictate when you use it. At least choose when you want to go on it, and that's the first step.
And I think when you do... Sorry, yeah, go on.
No, I was going to say, then after that, then you can start to limit your screen time. Then you can start to limit what you do on them apps. Then you can start to limit how many apps you have. Just do it in stages. You don't have to do it all in one go. I'm not saying saying like delete all your social medias right now.
Yeah, that's not what we're saying at all. Like,
Go and live on a farm.
Yeah, no. I just think that when you're in that mode of just scrolling, endlessly scrolling, it's if you think about it, it's the opposite of a meditative state. And I think if you follow the advice that Jack's saying, you'll notice that your mind won't race as much. And certainly in my case, my mind wasn't raced as much. I felt more peaceful. I found myself like wanting to do things that I hadn't thought about in ages. Like I wanted to read. I wanted to read a book. I started to study Japanese because I'm studying Japanese, and it's like, do you know what I mean? It's hard, but it just gives you you got to think, if you're not giving your time to social media, you're going to be giving it to something else, and it's probably more than most going to be constructive.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more, mate. You'll realise that when you stop using social media, or let's just say you go for a walk and you don't take your phone, you don't listen to music, you don't have anything, you just go for a walk on your own, you will come up with some crazy ideas. Some like, I wonder if there's an idea for, I could start a podcast. I'm just going to use this as an example because this is how it all came about. I was on a walk. It was during a break I took at work, and I was like, it'd be a good idea to, because I wanted to write a story about my life and about what some of the experiences that I've been through. And I was like, but if you go, and I was going through this thought process, and nothing interrupted that thought process. It just allowed the thought process, and it just allowed my mind to go through the cycles and eventually get to an idea of, let's start a podcast. Yeah. Whereas if you've got, let's say you're on a thought, like you're on a journey with a thought, okay, that thought is going, and it's slow, and it's getting there, and then all of a sudden, buzz, that thought will stop immediately.
Yeah.
And then the immediate thought is, oh my God, what was that buzz? Who is it? What is it?
Yeah.
The next stage that I want to get to is to be able to turn all notifications off. Yeah. Obviously, you just run the risk there of if someone needs to get you in an emergency.
Yeah, you can leave like emergency calls on, but like, have you ever watched the film Phone Booth? And
no.
It's basically he walks past. He's like a film director, but he walks past a ringing phone booth, and he answers it, and the guy on the other end of the phone is like a sniper that's like on his location. He's like, mate, it's a really tense film, but he says, we hear a phone ringing and we just have to answer it, don't we? Yeah. And then he ends up basically like in this phone booth for like 3 hours on a standoff with this guy that's got a sniper, and he's basically saying to him like, mate, you got to do what I say. You've got to. It's just nuts, man. Honestly, you need to watch it. But it's something about the phone going off, but we feel the need to pick it up immediately, like you said. What is it?
Whatever thought you have, no matter how good that thought could be, the next big thing.
Yeah. And that's another thing as well. Is I remember when I was on when we spoke about that airport story where I was panicking and having a panic attack because I had no coping mechanisms at the time. The only thing that I felt new to do was obviously the exercise, like running up and down the terminal. But it was also Candy Crush, because I remember like people saying, it's relaxing. So I was trying to get into the Candy Crush. I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm having an heart attack. I was like, just carry on concentrating on swiping. But I don't really think it changed until I put the phone down, put the social media down, and actually had me time. Like, you time is so valuable. Like, when I say you time, I don't mean you sitting on your phone. I'm talking about you, like, doing what you love the most. Thinking. How does your mind work? Like, I was 24 years old, and I didn't really know the real processes of how my mind worked. Now I know, because I've done that much meditation and self-reflecting. I know what kind of thought patterns that I'm prone to. Do you know what I mean? What kind of positive or negative thought patterns I'm prone to. I know how to get out of them. Whereas before, it was, if I get a negative thought, I'll just get my phone on and, it'll be fine. It'll go away in a minute. And that's literally how I used to deal with things, man.
I always know if I go for a walk now. Sometimes I just go for a walk just to try and get an idea, just about anything. I just say to myself, go and think about something creative. Or I ask myself the question, what could change the world right now? What could change the world? Once I even came up with an idea. This was years ago, mate. I came up with an idea of, wouldn't it be good if on maps you could add, if there was something blocking the road, you could add it live so that it reported it to other drivers behind you, so that they knew that there was something in the road.
Yeah.
I think it was 4 years later, Google Maps integrated that into their software.
You should have emailed him. You could have been a billionaire by now.
but it's things like that. It's ideas like that you just get from just doing nothing, walking, thinking. Just allowing yourself to let your creative mind go.
Yeah, like you're not allowing yourself to be creative when you're just looking through social media, are you? Like,
no,
you're literally just looking at other people's creativity or shit that they want to feed or whatever.
Yeah, come up with something that can change the world.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Jack was probably on a walk when he thought about making this podcast, because it was his idea originally. Yeah. And he brought it to me and I was like, yeah. Because the thing is, like, I feel like there's always negatives in every social media platform, like YouTube included, but there's also positives. Like, I feel like with YouTube, like, I can sort of type in what I want to watch, but even then,
it's also
I know what you're going to say. The recommended,
the black hole of YouTube.
The black hole of YouTube, and you've been watching YouTube for 6 hours, and all of a sudden you're watching a video of, like, a 10-year-old video of fucking, I don't know, like some weird crap, like. I don't know, what are some of the crazy videos, like a Harry Potter video where someone's like made the video and messed up all the scenes and just stupid shit, man. Like,
I remember I went to sleep once listening to Linkin Park.
Yeah.
I know it's not really like going to sleep music, but it was for me at the time. And I woke up like a few hours later, and YouTube. This was a few years ago, so YouTube's algorithm wasn't quite right.
Yeah.
And the video that I woke up to was Christian rock, and it was like 2 hours of Christian rock, and I was like, "Where did this come from?" But this was YouTube learning, and this was like the AI of YouTube learning about what it should be showing.
Mate, I've done that before, right? And I fell asleep listening to YouTube, and when I woke up, it was like a video that was 10 years old, and it was literally like a video of like a Labrador, a mum Labrador teaches her puppies how to relax or something like that. And I was like, what the fuck is this video, man? Like, no one's searching for this stuff. It's just.
But you've got the positives of YouTube and Netflix, and it's allowed. So you've got the positives of it allows us to view what we want, but you've got to realise that there is also a
trick involved, which makes you think that you.
Where they are pushing things onto you.
It could be like the amount of arguments that you see on Facebook, and you're like, well, where's your source? It's like, oh, well, it's this YouTube conspiracist that said it. It's like, well, anyone can sort of make a conspiracy theory and make it look real with edited pictures and videos, and I don't know, man. I don't think they're credible sources in that respect, but I don't know. It's just like you say, you can choose what you want to watch at the end of the day, but you just got to. I think it's important to be mindful. You've got to be mindful, haven't you, Jack? Mindful is key in all of this, in all the podcasts and everything. Life, it's about being mindful and just knowing
balance.
Knowing when to take a break. If you go to McDonald's, don't be like me and have fucking 20 nuggets, 2 double cheeseburgers, a Big Mac meal, and then sit there after and feeling like shit. And then I've left.
Don't have a Chinese.
I've left 10 nuggets on the floor, and then 2 hours later, I'm like, I'll finish them off. That'll be sound. Don't do that, man. Have a burger and then just be like, right, okay, let's see how I feel after that burger. And normally, often, you'd probably be satisfied.
You're probably full.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Or not? It just goes to show, man, this need for, I need it now. Do you know what I mean? I need more.
Yeah, mate, there's so much. There's a lot of pros. And there's a lot of cons. Yeah. It's all about. It's like every single podcast we talk about balance. We talk about you will find your own balance. There's going to be a time where social media gets too much for you, and you'll have to. There's people who I know who've just deleted everything, and those people always end up. You see them. Everyone will say, "Oh, I'm going to delete my Instagram." Yeah. 2 weeks later, you see them back on it.
Yeah, you do, don't you?
We're not saying delete them. We're saying use a few techniques to just use them a little less. Yeah. And make sure that you're controlling when you open the app. Make sure you're controlling what you're watching. If you're watching something and you're like, oh my God, I don't know how I got here. I don't know what I'm watching.
Yeah.
And I don't really enjoy it. I'm just watching it.
Yeah.
That's when you need to take a break and just go, hold on a minute, I didn't choose this.
Yeah.
Turn the autoplay feature off. Yeah, it's brilliant, but it's brilliant sometimes until you get 7 videos deep and you...
Man, it can get so addictive. Like I remember, like I've been on YouTube before, and I've only opened the app to look for a video that I knew I wanted to look at, and then I've seen something on recommended before I've even typed in the video that I actually wanted to look at.
Yeah, it's
and then an hour later, I'm like, shit, I realised I haven't even searched for the video that I originally wanted to see. Do you know what I mean, or not?
Do you know what YouTube should do?
Yeah.
What YouTube should do is they should, it should automatically hide your recommended, and you should open it if you want to see what's recommended. Like, it shouldn't be there staring you in the face. It should be an option rather than a mandatory. I mean, we're trying to grow on YouTube. So
yeah, no, mate, out of all the social media platforms, I love YouTube, right? I absolutely love it. But I feel like there's a reason that I pay for premium, and it's because I don't want to see all the ads. And when like, say if I was watching this video, when it ends, sometimes YouTube will automatically, like in 5 seconds, play the next thing. Yeah. And that's where the revenue's made into it, when people just walk away, or they're still making money, aren't they? Because it's just playing in the background. But I just like to say I pay for premium so I don't have to go through all that crap of like, oh, this product and this product. And it just plants seeds, man. It does, doesn't it? And one thing about like that as well is, like, I've noticed if I search for something on Google, whether it be,
if you
like,
say it,
I know, I've noticed that. But if I search for, say, like, there was like, I was looking for Christmas presents the other day. I probably shouldn't say what the Christmas
I was going to say,
but let's say it was like I was looking for a printer. So say if I typed in Google HP printer, I'm only saying that because there's one right next to me. But I can guarantee
Christmas is ruined.
Yeah. But if I put in HP printer on Google, if I go on Facebook later that night, as I'm scrolling down, I will see ads for printers. Won't you?
We've had it in the flat where my flatmate mentioned a gin that he got in, and this was a gin that was specially in Canada, and it's a gin that changes colour, and we were just speaking about it, and then all of a sudden that night he got an ad for it.
That's disgusting, that is. That means you're being listened to, man. Now we're going down all kinds of loopholes.
Conspiracy theory alert, conspiracy theory.
Is Alexa listening to you? I don't know the answer to that, man, but it's possible.
Well, if you say her name, she does.
I know, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, do you know what I mean? I don't get that.
Right, before we go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, let's stop.
Let's summarise it.
Yeah.
I'm going to summarise it with, like anything that we've spoken about in the podcast, social media requires balance.
Yeah.
Anything in life requires balance. You should choose when you use social media. Do not let the platforms choose for you.
Yeah.
Some things that you can do are turn notifications off so that you have control over when you open the app. Allow yourself a screen time. I personally choose an hour a day for Instagram and probably 30 to 15 minutes for everything else.
Yeah.
And just make a conscious effort to go for a walk and leave your phone behind.
Yeah.
If there's an emergency, there's enough people out there with a phone to help you.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like if you're waiting until you're getting headaches and migraines before you're putting your phone down, it's not a good thing at all.
No.
Like, you're pushing your limits way too far, and like Jack says, like, you just reduce your screen time and implement some meditation into your life. Like, I know it's got nothing to do with social media, but at the same time, it also has everything to do with social media in the world that we live in today. Let's take the news, for example. You cannot listen to the news all day long, especially not this year, because I can guarantee now, if I go put on ITV News, first thing I'll hear is coronavirus. Coronavirus deaths, coronavirus cases, this tier, what's going on, and some people get addicted to that. It's social media in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Turn it off. Do something else. Go do a hobby, something that you've been putting off for ages. Whether, I know you can't really do it this year, but whether it's like a martial arts class or a gym class or a language class, anything. Just do something constructive.
And then finally, don't take your phone to bed if you can. If you can, charge your phone in the living room. Charge your phone in a separate room. And I know that there's going to be people listening saying, "Oh, but my alarm. How else do you expect me to wake up in the morning?" Buy an alarm clock.
Yeah.
Buy an alarm clock. They're about £2.
Yeah.
So I've got a wake up light, and I'm promoting now for Philips. I've got a wake up light that slowly lights the room half an hour before you're supposed to wake up, and it slowly brightens the room as if it's like daytime.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to use my phone less and less as a requirement to wake up.
Yeah.
Because when you take it with you to bed, if you wake up in the middle of the night, you'll check it.
Yeah,
you'll check your phone.
Yeah.
You won't just think, "Oh, I've woken up. I'm going to go back to sleep." You'll think, "I've woken up. Might as well check."
Yeah. And the thing is as well, if you've got one of these on your arm, a Fitbit or any kind of smartwatch, I use my alarm on that now. And amazing point that you bring up about that, because you can we've got a pandemic of not being able to sleep, but it's like you can't expect to sleep when you're getting so much blue light. When you to get optimum sleep, I think it's like we're not supposed to have blue light like 2 hours before we go to sleep. Yeah. So one thing I do, if I scroll down on my settings, you can just pull down on the Samsung.
Night mode.
I have night mode, but at all times as well, because I've got quite sensitive eyes anyway. I have blue light mode on. No, I do, man. Honestly, I get migraines.
I'm the same.
But it's especially if you're spending loads of time, like put the blue light filter on. But
I used to have blue light glasses.
Mate, I've still got them. I wear them. I do, especially at night.
Yeah. I used to wear them when I was in the library 24 hours doing my dissertation.
Yeah, but yeah, man, I fucking hate like thinking about doing stuff like that. Like we used to do it at like 4 a.m. and
it was minging.
But those, like you say, you can't complain about not being able to sleep if you're just sitting there on your phone, because you're literally signalling to your brain. Clock. Yeah, you're signalling to your brain by looking at the blue light that it's daytime, so you're not going to fall asleep.
Nighttime.
Yeah, like I've even got. Do you know what I've got, man? I've got a face mask, an eye mask, and it's full blackout, man. And it's amazing. You know what I mean? And I put that on, and when I first put it on, it's weird because you can see like you can almost feel like your eyes really adjusting and resting. Like you can see the lights that you've been exposed to that day, and it's real strange, man. But it's just I'd recommend getting a sleep mask if you're struggling with putting your phone away, because you can just say, right, okay, I'm going to put the phone down, I'm going to put this on, and I'm going to do some meditation, relax, whatever you want to do. Just do that.
Well, we're going to give you some prompts now, the same way that apps do.
Yeah.
Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with a friend, turn your notifications off, get an alarm clock,
get a Fitbit, get a sleep mask,
and finally, check up on your strong friend.